I tell you, it was really evil that night. Zhang Xiaoyu, a social animal that is so ordinary that I can't be more ordinary. I just want to go home from get off work, and on the sand, I open a pack of potato slices and watch 2 episodes of brainless love dramas. This is the peak moment of my life, do you understand? What's the result? As a result, my life was directly switched to the ground mode that night, or his mother's ocean-themed paradise edition. That night, our boss, Wang Dawei, was nervous again and added a bird report at the moment, and insisted on getting it done today. The people in the office were walking faster than the monkey, and in the end I was the only one who was left to be dumbfounded at the computer screen. The air conditioning and cooling made me rush back, and the whole office was so quiet that only my keyboard and the sound of the boss in my heart were left. My eyelids were almost stuck, and my brain was like a group of people. When I finally posted the bullshit report, it was almost 11 o'clock. I stretched out my waist and felt like I was dried up in the sea, and I couldn't even get out of the water. After packing up my broken bag, I dragged my legs like I filled my penis and walked towards the clock and at the door of the company. You know, it is the most old-fashioned fingerprinting machine, the gray-white plastic shell, and the greasy ones pressed out by their predecessors, which makes people feel disgusted. Standing in front of the broken machine, my stomach finally burned to my brain. What to worry about? I've wiped those thousands of blocks in a month, why should I be treated as an inquiry? I am so tired every day that I don't have the energy to follow the drama when I get home. What are the hopes of this day? The more I thought about it, the more I became more and more angry. Looking at the small red number showing the time on the clock, it seemed like I was laughing at my wolf cuckold. I held the work card in my hand and prepared to insert it to get off work card, but I couldn't get it out of the evil fire. I stared at the machine and almost gritted my teeth and pulled a few words from the tooth. Mom, breaking work, breaking the clock. I really don't want to fuck me anymore. When I downloaded the phone, I must be a fish, no need to think about anything, no need to do anything, just swim in the water, the fastest fish. After saying this, strange things happened. The work card in my hand has not been inserted into it. The gray-white check-in machine in front of me, the plastic lump that I have to curse 800 times every day, has actually begun to melt. No, it is not melting, it is deformation. Its hard plastic shell, like a rice cake baked by fire, began to twist and lengthen, and its color changed from grayish-white to a strange dark gray. I shook my hand and the work card fell directly to the ground. My brain was blank at that time, and I thought I was working overtime until I was having an illusion. I rubbed my eyes and then opened again. The scene in front of me almost made me scream out on the spot. The clock machine was gone, and replaced by a piece of fish that was about half a meter long was floating in the air, bearing a sharp fang at me. Its skin was as rough as sandpaper, its eyes were small, with a sense of ruthlessness, and its tail was still swinging left and right impatiently. There was a faint smell of seawater in the air. I yelled ah, took 2 steps back, and fell to the ground. What is this, mother? Do a dream? Making a movie? Or am I really crazy? The fish seemed to be shocked by my scream. It lowered its head and saw my work card that fell to the ground. Without saying a word, it turned over and swallowed my work card in one bite. I didn't even chew it, just like eating a small puff to dry. Hey! My card! I shouted subconsciously. The fish swallowed my work card, and seemed to be burping, and then glanced at me with the 2 emotional beans. Then, under my stunned gaze, his body sounded like a piercing ball, and it exploded into a white water fog, instantly disappearing without a trace. The office returned to death. There were only 2 lonely screws left in the wall, which proved that there was something there. There was no water, no fish on the ground, and even my poor work card didn't leave any slag. Everything seemed to have never happened, except for the faint fishy smell that had not yet dissipated from the air, and my heart that was about to jump out of my throat. I sat on the cold floor, gasping for breath. My brain was filled with porridge. Fantasy? It's definitely an illusion. It must be because of the excessive pressure recently and lack of sleep, which has caused some amazing imagination. Yes, that must be the case. I slammed my legs up from the ground, my legs still a little soft. I walked to the wall, stretched out my hand and touched the 2 screws with a towering touch. The cold touch told me that this was not a dream. There is no evidence, no target, only myself. I don't know how I walked out of the company building. As the cold wind outside blew, I shivered and finally woke up a little. I stood on the street where there was no one in the night sky, took out my phone and wanted to call a car, but I found that my hands were shaking so hard that the screen could not be unlocked. I lowered my head and looked at my shaking hands, and the fish that appeared in my brain that was empty, swallowed my work card, and then disappeared. A very absurd thought, like a seed, uncontrollably sprouted in my chaotic brain. It shouldn't be related to the wish I just thought. I don't know how I finally came home. My brain was full of the fish that appeared and disappeared in the empty space, and my work card that was swallowed by it as a snack. I was in the state of a spirit coming out, like drinking 10 bottles of fake wine and hanging around while walking. When I came back to God, I was already standing at the entrance of my small rental house. I took out the key, my hand was still shaking, and I inserted it for a long time before I could close the hole. As soon as the door opened, a familiar aroma of vegetables sent it out, but I didn't even have any appetite. The living room lights were lit. Lin Xiaoqing, my girlfriend, who was hot and hot, was sitting on the sand with her arms in her arms, staring at me with her big eyes. Her face smelled as if it had just come out of the soy sauce tank. Zhang Xiaoyu, do you still know how to come back? She opened her mouth, her voice as if the cold air in Siberia was flowing. Look at how many times are you now? You don't answer your phone or your message. Are you dead outside? I feel so wronged. I wanted to answer the phone, but I was busy watching the fish performing the magic of swallowing the card. How could I have that American time? But can I say that? Did I say she believed it? It would be strange if she didn't send me to the hospital as a neurotic. I sighed, and I tried to change my slippers without any effort, and threw my bag on the cover of the cover. Working overtime, can you still have sex? Wang Dalu is so nervous that he has to report at any time and he will not leave until he finishes it. As I walked in, I saw the food on the coffee table with a warm-up cover. My heart was a little warmer, but the feeling of fatigue and fear that followed it hurts it again. Working overtime? Working overtime? You know how to work overtime. Lin Xiaoqing stood up from the sofa, like a cat who was furious. Look at your promiscuousness. How many money does it cost in a month? You are so happy to be a dog every day, right? How many times have I told you, changing jobs? Or learn what you want, even if you take the exam. You are just air-skinned. It's coming again, it's this one again. I was really tired, from my body to my heart, so tired that I didn't want to move a finger. I fell on the other side of the sofa, far away from her, like a beach of mud. I don't want to change, I don't want to learn, I just want to do this. Is there anything wrong with fish? Fuck fish? You know how to be a fish all day long. She was finally ignited by my attitude. She walked up to me and pointed at my nose from a high point. Does fish turn over? Look at Lao Wang next door, who has opened his own studio. Look at your college classmates, which one is not better than you? Zhang Xiaoyu, you are only 25 years old, are you planning to live like this in your life? I, Lin Xiaoqing, fell in love with you because I was blind at first. This is a bit hurtful. The evil fire in my heart also emerged. The frustration in the company, the fear of the unknown, and the slightest bitch that she had broken her head, all the negative emotions became a boiling poisonous chicken soup in my brain. Yes. I just have no future. I just want to stay alive. I suddenly sat upright and shouted at her, my mother has been tired for a day, and when she comes back, she wants to stay calm. Can you not give me classes every day like a teacher? I don't have much pressure. Do I don't want to work hard? Is it useful to work hard? Do you think everyone is like you, and you have endless energy like chicken blood? I am an ordinary person. I just want to live a life of an ordinary person. I don't want to be a master. My mother just wants to be a fish. A careless fish. Do you understand? The more I spoke, the more excited I became, and I didn't speak, and my hands were dancing in the air, and the veins on my neck burst out. Lin Xiaoqing was stunned by my yell. She probably didn't expect me to get such a big fire. She whispered, trying to say something, but at this moment, something strange happened again. Under my angry attention, Lin Xiaoqing's red face began to undergo a different change. Her skin seems to be glowing. No, it is becoming smoother and more orange. Yes, it is orange, like a ripe orange. What are you? I stopped roaring, with a trembling and confusion in the sound. She seemed to feel unfavorable, and raised her hand to touch her face, but her mouth pouted uncontrollably, getting smaller and smaller, and finally turned into a funny O shape, and could only make a sound of bo. Bo. Then, right in front of me, her whole body began to shrink quickly, like a ball of gas that was quickly released. The fashionable home clothes on her body instantly became empty and she fell to the ground, piled up in small piles. And on the pile of clothes, a pair of golden fish, the size of a palm, the body was orange-shaped, and the tail was like a small skirt. The golden fish was jumping and thrusting in the air. My whole body was petrified, my brain died on the scene, and I forgot my breath. The golden fish snatched in the air for 2 times, falling straight down, and was about to fall to the floor. I don't know where the reaction speed came from, so a squeezing tiger rushed over and caught it in the air with both hands. The warm, slippery touch and a desperate feeling came from my palm. I lowered my head and looked at the lively and erratic golden fish in my hand. It had a beautiful fan-shaped tail, bulging its cheeks, and its mouth closed one by one. The twin rounded eyes, which had no focal length, were straight, looking at me. I raised my head and looked at the pile of clothes belonging to Lin Xiaoqing in front of the sofa, and then lowered my head and looked at the golden fish in my hand. The silence of death in the air. A thought that was more absurd and more terrifying than a fish swallowing my work card was like an atomic bomb that detonated in my brain. I seemed to turn my girlfriend into a fish. Holding the lively golden fish in my hand, I felt that my world was collapsing block by block, and it was broken so much that there was no residue left. This feel, this temperature, and this piercing force remind me that this is not a dream or an illusion. Zhang Xiaoyu, a social animal who just wants to lie flat, seems to have really stirred up a big event that shocked the earth. I looked down at the Lin Xiaoqing in my palm. Her golden fish eyes seemed to be filled with shock, anger and panic. Who knows how I read this passionate from the eyes of a fish, but I just told me that I didn't read it wrong. She was still jumping around, her tail swaying my palms and her mouth closed, as if she was squeezing me, but only the sound of bobobo came out. Xiaoqing? I shouted in a tentative voice, and the sound was trembling like Parkinson. The orange and golden fish in my hand jumped even more, as if responding to me. It's over, this is really over. To turn the boss's check-in machine into a shark, at most it will be slaughtered and then paid for money. But now, I have turned my girlfriend into a golden fish. If this is sold out, I guess the second half of the test will have to be spent in the laboratory and will be sliced and studied every day. My brain is in a mess, and my first thought is, fish cannot leave the water. I rushed into the bathroom like a crazy person, holding the golden fish carefully in one hand, and then stumbled on the water dragon head with my hands, blocking the sink. The ice-cold water flowed out silently. After we waited for almost half of the pond, we gently put the Lin Xiao golden fish Qing in our hand with a kind of pious devotion. As soon as she entered the water, she stopped jumping, and the word Sukaku was the most perfect commentary at this moment. She turned around in the small sink, stretched her beautiful tail, then swam quickly to the pool, hitting her head lightly against the ceramic pool wall, and her mouth was still bobo, as if she was protesting that the living environment was too small. I watched her swim in the water, and her brain became a little colder. Well, at least she won't die of hypoxia at a time. The problem now is, what should I do next? How to turn her back? I recalled the scene just now. The clock machine turned into a fish because I cursed it with great anger at that time. Lin Xiaoqing turned into a golden fish because I quarreled with her and shouted passionately, I want to be a fish. Can you say, this extraordinary ability has something to do with my strong feelings? And I said I wanted to be a fish, but it turned her into a fish. Is there a problem with this capability specifying error? I'm sorry, Xiaoqing, I didn't mean it. I lay on the side of the sink and apologized to her in the water. I was so dizzy that I just said nonsense. I don't want to be a fish, I don't want to be a fish at all. Come back. The golden fish stopped in the middle of the water and looked at me with the two bulging eyes, without any reaction. I'm wrong. I shouldn't be quarrel with you. I shouldn't be so busy. I'll go find a new job tomorrow. I'll take the exam. I'll take the exam for 8 exams. Please come back. She still didn't react, but just shook her tail elegantly, as if saying, do you know you're wrong now? It's too late. I was so anxious that I was pacing back and forth in the bathroom like a hot pot. What to do? What to do? Call the police? No, the police uncle would definitely think that I was having fun with taking medicine. Send to the hospital? The doctor would only recommend that I go to the psychiatric department. Is it hard to say, I want to raise my girlfriend? Give her water every day and feed her fish? Thinking of this, I called a cold man. If Lin Xiaoqing knew about it, even if she couldn't come back, her soul would have to strangle me to death. As time passed by minute, I tried all the ways I could think of. I tried to calm myself down and talk to her calmly. I tried to make myself angry again and yell at her, you'll turn me back into a human being. I even tried to imagine what she was like, and desperately scribbling her appearance in my brain. But it was useless. The golden fish in the sink was still a golden fish, and he was happy and even vomited a few bubbles. It seems that this ability is not something I can control just by wanting to. The conditions for touching are emotional excitement, but what are the conditions for withdrawal? Not sure at all. I sat down on the horse bucket, looking at her in the pool, and fell into deep hope. At this time, I noticed that she seemed a little anxious and kept hitting the head of Shuilong. I looked over and realized that she seemed to be watching the water dragon turn on. Are you thirsty? No, you're in the water. Are you arduous? I asked. She swam in front of me, and then turned to look in the direction of the kitchen. I seem to understand a little bit. People will get hungry. Do you want to eat? I asked. The golden fish immediately clicked the head. Although the fish did this action was very unclear, I understood it. What to eat? Fish food? Where can we have that thing at home? I ran to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. There were the vegetables she had prepared for the evening, as well as some vegetables and fruits. She is fish now, can she eat these? I took a small piece of lettuce leaf, torn it into pieces, returned to the bathroom, and carefully spread it into the pool. The golden fish swam over, heard the news, and then swam away disgusted. It seems that I don't eat vegetarian food. I ran back to the kitchen again, thought for a while, and found a pack of slimming leftovers from the cold storage. I folded it for a little while, rolled it into meatballs smaller than the rice grains, returned to the toilet again, and threw it into the water. This time, she swam over, hesitated for a moment, opened her mouth, and sucked the small meatballs in one mouthful. After finishing her meal, she seemed quite satisfied and made a happy turn in the water. I relaxed and finally solved the problem of eating. After feeding Lin Xiaoqing Fishqing, I faced a new problem: where to live. You can't keep her at the sink, right? The space here is too small, and I will have to wash my face and brush my teeth tomorrow morning. My eyes fell on the glass coffee table in the living room that I regarded as a mess box. That coffee table was hollow and I thought it was quite designed when I first bought it, but it didn't work with anything except dust. Have it? I cleared all the foul objects on the coffee table and wiped them clean with a rag. Then find the water pipe, collect water from the warehouse one by one, and carefully pour it into the hollow layer of the coffee table. Lin Xiaoqing. Oh no, Jiningqing seemed to understand my idea and waited quietly in the bathroom. It took about half an hour to turn the hollow glass coffee table into a simple, oversized fish tank. I used a large soup spoon and a fish to carry, carefully scooped her out of the sink and moved her to my new home. As soon as she entered the spacious glass coffee table, she looked much happier and swam back and forth for several circles, her wide tail drawing beautiful arcs in the water. I was so tired that I fell on the sofa, looking at the orange and golden fish swimming in the coffee table. I couldn't laugh or cry. Other people's girlfriend was watching TV on the sofa, and my girlfriend was swimming in the coffee table. What is this called? I picked up my phone and looked at the photo of Lin Xiaoqing on the screen. She smiled brightly in the photo. Looking at the golden fish in front of me, I only have Bobo and I feel miserable. Panic, guilt, absurdity, and a silk that wants to laugh. No matter what, life still has to be done. The first task is to never let anyone discover that my girlfriend is raised in my coffee table. Then, I must find a way to figure out what this dead superpower is, how to turn it off, or at least, can it be taken back? I sighed and said to her at the coffee table, "Xiqing, you feel wrong for a few days first. I promise that I will definitely find a way to turn you back. Before this, what station do you want to see at night? I will open the TV to listen to you." The next morning, I woke up in a state of extreme terror. I suddenly sat up from the sofa, and my first reaction was to look at the glass coffee table. Fortunately, the orange-red golden fish was still swimming leisurely inside, not turning into a fish that drizzled on the water. Seeing that she was still alive, my heart was slightly relieved, but with it there was a greater anxiety. I still have to go to work today. This problem is a big deal. When Lin Xiaoqing was at home, I left after I went to work. Now she is a fish, trapped in a coffee table. What should she do whenever she goes out? If she is bored and can't open, what should she do if she jumps out of the coffee table? Although the edge of the coffee table is quite tall, who knows? She is Lin Xiaoqing, and her temper is getting hot. I believe that she can even tear Gouda with her bare hands. I walked to the coffee table, squatted down, and met her through the glass. "Xiaoqing, I'm going to work," I said in a silence, feeling like I was a nervous illness. "You are good at home, don't be upset, especially don't want to jump out, have you heard it? I'll come back after get off work and bring you delicious slimming." The golden fish swam in front of me, and topped the head with its head through the glass. I don't know if this answer is true, or I'm not satisfied. Or, I'll ask for a leave. I said to myself. No, I just lost the clock machine yesterday, but today I am a job without any trouble. Wang Dashi had to peel off my skin. The work card is already in trouble, and the extracurricular situation will be revealed in the past. My monthly bonus will be fully covered. After repeated quota, I decided to go to work. After all, it is the original sin. I'm almost unable to survive, not to mention that I have a golden fish girlfriend now. I hurriedly washed up, changed my clothes, and replaced her with water before leaving, and threw in a few meatballs smaller than sesame seeds. Seeing her chasing food in the spacious coffee table, I felt a little calmer. At least she looks quite energetic. I'm leaving. I'm really leaving. It's fine at home. I walked out of the door 3 times. The moment I closed the door, I even felt guilty about leaving the pet at home alone. When I arrived at the company building, I remembered a fatal problem. I have no work card anymore. My work card was eaten yesterday by a piece of shark made from a clock machine. How do I tell the human affairs? He said that they would just take me to the mental hospital. I stood at the door of the company, like a businessman, and hesitated for a long time. Finally, I decided to follow a colleague's, but while there were too many people at work and slide into the elevator with his jam. Very strange, I got into the office all the way. The colleagues gathered together in 3 or 3, pointing to the empty corner of the wall, and discussing in a low voice. Hey, where's the check-in machine? Why don't you see it? I don't know, I didn't have it in the morning. I heard that the security checked the monitoring and I didn't take a photo. You can't be stolen by someone, right? Who can't open it and steal a break-in machine? I lowered my head and slid to my seat with my heart intent, pretending that I didn't know anything, and opened my computer and started working. I was praying crazy in my heart, don't find me, Don't. What are you afraid of? My butt was not hot yet, and the boss Wang Da just walked out of his office with a black face. The face was pulled like Changbai Mountain. He walked straight to me and threw a piece of paper on my desk with a snap. Zhang Xiaoyu, he roared, and his saliva almost sprayed on my face. You left the last night and you lost your check-in machine. Do you know what's going on? My heart skipped a beat, but my face was still innocent. King, President Wang, I don't know. When I left last night, the clock-in machine was still hanging on the wall. I didn't blink my eyes, but I couldn't say anything. Okay? Wang Dazhen's volume increased by another octave. Okay, will it run long? At the same time, you didn't get the off-duty card yesterday. Did you destroy the machine to avoid clocking in? Damn, this imagination is too rich, right? In order not to check in, I stole the check-in machine? What brain path is this? No, Mr. Wang, I swear. I really hit yesterday. Maybe the machine was damaged, didn't read it, right? I continued to stubbornly. Is the machine damaged? Wang Dala sneered, his expression as if he was ready to eat people. Well, I dare not use animals to describe him now. God knows whether he will become something in the next second. He pointed to my nose and said, okay. Zhang Xiaoyu, please wait for me. I will definitely find out this matter. Now, let me do this again. Yesterday's version, the fonts, distances, and typesettings, were all shit. After saying that, he slapped the paper heavily on my desk, turned around and left, leaving me with a breathtaking back. I was completely depressed. It was raining all night, and a girlfriend at home turned into fish, and the boss at the company was like taking fried medicine. I picked up the report of the death penalty, looked at the dense red forks on it, and a stream of unnamed fire swishly it shone from the bottom of the foot to the sky. Shit? My mother worked overtime until 11 o'clock to make something. Can you give me a word of shit? You can do it, you can go. I know how to squeeze employees every day, and I don't do anything by myself. I drink tea in the office to read reports. When I get off work, I'm like a death-hunting ghost. People like you should become a puffer fish, and they are so angry that they are bulging into a ball, and then they are taken to the red fire. I regretted this thought just after I flashed in my brain. No, 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 no. Can't think about it. Never think about it. I tried my best to throw this terrible idea out. But it's too late. The light at the corner of my eyes caught my eye. Wang Dazhen, who was about to walk back to his office, suddenly stopped walking. He seemed to be stuck by something and his body froze. Then, the scene, which was exactly the same as when Lin Xiaoqing turned fishing yesterday, was replayed in high definition in front of my eyes. Wang Daxi's expensive suit was swelling at a speed visible to the naked eye. His figure, which had a beer belly, bulged quickly like a blowing ball. The buttons of the suit are bang and bang sound, and they are thrust out like balls, and one is hit on the next drink, making a crisp sound. His face also grew bigger, his skin became rough, and small thorns appeared on it. Everyone in the office was stunned and stared at their top boss making a big change in the middle of the corridor. King, President Wang? The secret book beside him asked tremblingly. Wang Dawei just blew his mouth and wanted to say something, but his mouth had turned into a small round point, and he could only make a sound of goo, goo. His body was still bloating, and his pants were also snatched to the point of breaking. Finally, with a sharp sound, the whole suit was finally scraped and turned into a bunch of rags. In the middle of the pile of rags, a huge puffer fish floated in midair, with a sharp thorn in the body, and a trembling body. The silence in the office was as quiet as it could be heard when the pins fell to the ground. After a few seconds, I don't know who made a big scream. Ah, there are monsters. The entire office exploded in an instant. The sound of screaming, crying, and the sound of tables and chairs falling to the ground were mixed. My colleagues seemed to see the end of the world, and their farts were rushing out, and their computers were not even in touch. A few small ones were so scared that they drew under the table. I sat in my position, my hands were frozen and I couldn't move. I've been worried. And this time, it was in full view of the crowd. The huge puffer fish that was just transformed by Wang Dala still retains a little idea. It turned a circle in the air, and the small eyes that had become fish-eyed locked me accurately. It seemed to recognize me. I tell you, at that time, I had a thought in my brain: it's over, barbecue, and it's finally baked. All the people in the office ran away, and only a few tiny ones were left under the table, shaking, and even not daring to breathe. In the whole space, I was the only one who was the huge puffer fish floating in the air, and was looking for a deep and affectionate look across the species. I didn't think it was wrong. It was filled with anger, confusion, and a piece of silk, the grievance of being betrayed. It seemed to be asking me with eyes, "Zhang Xiaoyu, why? Although I am a little bit strict with you, you are my person at least. How can you turn me into a fish? What can I do? I want to know why more than it is. I feel like a monkey holding a nuclear button, and I have no idea which button is ejaculated or which one is closed. King, Prince Wang?" I trembled and tried to communicate. "You, relieve it first, don't be angry. Once you're angry, you'll be even more angry." After I finished speaking, it seemed to be getting more energetic, and its body suddenly became bigger and bigger, and the thorns on its body were tilted, like a huge sea of thorns. If you get it, the communication fails. I can't just throw it here. Not to mention that he is my boss. Just like this look, if people outside see it, tomorrow's headline will definitely be shocking. A company has sneered at giant unknown aquatic creatures, suspected of being invaded by alien species. By then, a bunch of scientists in white coats came and caught it and sliced it and studied it, and then I would have become an eternal sinner. The most important thing is that they will definitely find out my head by cluing the clues. I must take it away and hide it. As soon as this thought popped up, I was shocked. Am I crazy? I want to smuggle a giant puffer fish that is more than 1 meter straight from the company to go home? I already have a golden fish girlfriend at home, and I add a puffer fish boss. Do I want to open an aquarium for this small rental house? Or do you want to have a seafood dinner? But there is no other way now. I looked around in a mess. My eyes swept across the corner and saw the large plastic garbage truck with a wheel that Aunt Bao used to pack garbage. Big, solid, and there are wheels. It's it. I seemed to see a savior, and rushed over with a quick glance and pushed the garbage truck over. A new question comes again. This thing is thorny. How can I get it up? Holding with bare hands? I was afraid that I would be pricked before I touched it. Have it? I ran to the storage room, rummaged through the box and found the thick, red carpet used to welcome the doors of 2 companies. This thing is thick and heavy, so it should be able to prevent stabbing. I returned to the scene with 2G blankets, like a warrior preparing for a bull. I took a deep breath and said to the puffer fish king who was still flying in the air, "President Wang, I offended you. This is all for your own good, and for my good. Let's change the place and slowly study how to change back." After saying that, I put a carpet on it. Goo! The puffer fish king seemed to be startled and slammed into pieces. I took advantage of it not being installed, and used the energy of feeding my breasts to hold another carpet under it, then pushed it like a rolling stuffed it into the garbage truck with the ground. That scene was as striking as a war. It was too heavy and kept twisting, and I felt like I wasn't moving a fish, I was fighting against a deep water blast that would explode at any time. The fiber of the carpet was scattered by its thorns, and I almost got thrown out several times. After a long time, I spent all the money, and I stuffed it into the garbage truck, and then used the first carpet to put it into a serious reality. From the outside, the garbage truck was like a Red Hill pack, which was still slightly undulating. I was so tired that I was on the ground, panting like a wind box. Mom, this is more tiring than making 100 reports. After resting for less than 10 seconds, I got up tightly. No, you have to leave quickly. There was no one in the sky above the corridor, and it seemed that everyone ran to the floor or to avoid it. A great opportunity. I pushed the car, and the wheels made a gurgling sound on the smooth floor, which was particularly harsh in the quiet floor. My heart was almost leaping into my throat, afraid that someone would suddenly pop up from some corner. Getting into the elevator is a big challenge. The garbage truck was too big, so I could only push it in diagonally and stuff the entire elevator full of dang. I collapsed in a small corner, looking at my wolf-like appearance in the elevator lens, and the squirming object wrapped in a red carpet, and I felt that this zither was not so exciting. "Mr. Wang, if you bear it, you will be home immediately." "Ah, no, you will be safe immediately," I said to the carpet. There was a stern goo sound from the carpet, and I don't know if it was agreed or protesting. When the elevator arrived at the first floor, the door opened and the hall was empty. I guess Baoquan probably ran to the building to check the situation. God helps me. I pushed the car out of the company's door as fast as possible and rushed to the side of the road. Standing on the street of the car racing horse, I was too big. How should I get this thing home? Call a sprint car? The driver saw me pushing a huge, still moving red package, and it would be nice to directly call the police without treating me as a gang change. I was sweating so much that I was anxious and waved desperately to the off-incoming cars. Sure enough, the cycling car was like a ghost, speeding up to drive away from me. Just as I was about to be desperate, a broken bread car stopped in front of me. The driver was an uncle holding a cigarette in his arms. He pulled off the window and looked at me with a look of a fool. "Brother, are you going to get a cart?" The uncle vomited a cigarette and looked at my garbage truck and the red package. "What, are you? You're so illegal." "It's not illegal. It's absolutely illegal." I explained with a tight explanation. This is an art product." "Yes, a prop for acting in art." Comparison with the previous one. The uncle looked at me half-believingly. Maybe I was not as good as a bad person, or was in a hurry to make money. He clicked, "Okay, get on the car. Add 100 yuan to move." Putting this puffer fish fried dunk onto the bread car is another catastrophe. My driver and I were all over my face and the red veins swelled up, and we finally stuffed it into the rear car. The moment I got off the car door, I was completely devoured. I sat on the secondary driver's seat, feeling moist, and I don't know if it was sweat or scary. The bread cart started, carrying me, and my puffer fish owner, who was wrapped in a carpet, into rice dumplings, headed towards my house. The bread car was bumpy all the way, and I could feel the artistic product behind me still moving at any time. I felt so nervous that I couldn't come back from my house. What should I do? Soon, the bread car stopped under the old apartment building in my house. I paid the money, and the driver helped me take off the things, and then ran away with a piece of oil, as if I was afraid that I would regret it and would not pay it. I never said anything about it again. Then, I was left, a cleaning car that was handheld from the company, and the huge boss on the car, wrapped in a zongzi with a carpet, and my hot temper. I raised my head and looked at my old and dilapidated apartment building on the 6th floor, and there was no elevator. My calves became soft in an instant. Standing under the old apartment building without an elevator, I looked at the window on the 6th floor, looked down at the huge object in the cleaning car, and felt that life was dark. I, Zhang Xiaoyu, may be creating a personal record today. I will carry a giant puffer fish wrapped in a carpet that weighs up to several hundred kilograms to the 6th floor with bare hands. If this matter is said, the Olympic champions have to come and be called to me. If you are desperate, things will be solved. I can't just throw Wang Dajia under the building, right? Not to mention whether he will be treated as a buffet by the wild cats passing by. This is the only thing that will definitely be available for community news tomorrow morning. I sighed and thought about my life. I said to the carpet wrapping, "President Wang, the road ahead may be a bit bumpy. You can bear it and don't be in a hurry, otherwise we will have to roll down the stairs." The sound of goo-goo in the carpet sounded powerless. I don't know if he understood it or was simply lacking in oxygen. I took off my coat, moved my wrists and feet, and then started my move with a sad mood that was about to go to the execution ground. I first tried to drag the whole package out of the car, but I found that this thing was heavier than I thought, and because it was round, there was no point of applying force. I broke for a long time and was sweating profusely. It was still streaky. No, you need to change the method. When the light in my brain flashed, I thought of the ancient Egyptians' method to build pyramids, storm. I paid the power of the package and pried it off from the cleaning car to put it on the first stage. Then I walked to the back and pushed the other head of the wrap with all my strength. Hey swish. I gritted my teeth, my face turned into a pig's liver. Under my push, it was difficult to roll upwards one by one. Every level of the top stage is accompanied by a deep bang sound and my heavy breathing sound. This strange sound was heard throughout the building, and it sounded like someone was moving a corpse. I had one idea at that time: never have a neighbor, never have a place to go. What are you afraid of? Just as I was hushing the puffer rice dumplings to the corner platform of the third and fourth floors, a door on the fourth floor opened with a crunch. A squid wearing a vest and full of cheeks poked out, squinted his eyebrows and asked, "Who? What are you doing in broad daylight?" My heart stopped and beat. It's Brother Lee, who lives on my floor. He is a fitness coach. He likes to hold irons on the sun platform when he has nothing to do. It's quite good to have something to do with me. I snatched a smile that was harder than crying, and gasped, saying, "Brother Lee, it's me, little fish. I'll move something." Brother Lee's eyes fell on the huge red unknown object behind me, and his eyes were filled with doubts. "What are you moving here? It looks quite heavy." "Sandbag?" "Ah, yes. Sandbag." I quickly wrote down as he talked, "recently. I felt a little dirty recently, and I wanted to buy a sandbag and go back to practice boxing and fight with the sling." I really admire my own reaction ability in the scene. It's just a silence. "Oh? Practicing the boxing?" Brother Lee seemed to be interested. He walked out, looked up and down at my small body, and then looked at the huge sandbag. "Your sandbag is okay, it's so good. Where did you buy it? It looks quite professional. Do you want to help?" "No. No need. No need. No need, Brother Lee." I was so scared that I almost flew, and I kept holding my hands. "I can just come by myself, just. I am very enthusiastic." "You are busy with yours, you are busy with yours," I joked, letting him come and help. As soon as he got it, he would definitely find that this sandbag not only moved, but also felt particularly strange. Seeing that I was so persistent, Brother Lee didn't think much about it. He just patted my shoulder, and was so strong that he almost patted me on the ground. "Okay, you have ambition. Young people should exercise more. If you don't understand, come and ask me any time." After saying that, he turned back to the house and closed with a bang. I let out a long breath and felt my back was wet. It's really good. I didn't dare to delay anymore, so I pushed my feet tightly and continued my sandbag career. From the fourth floor to the sixth floor, I feel that it is longer than I run 1,000 meters. After resting for about 5 minutes, I got up and took out the key and opened it. As soon as the door opened, I looked in first. In the living room, in my glass coffee table fish tank, the golden fish is swimming peacefully. When she saw me coming back, she immediately swam to the side near the door, her tail gently shaking. I made a bang hand for her, then turned around and pushed the puffer rice dumplings at the door into the house with the last force. With a bang, I closed the door and fell to the floor, gasping for breath. It's safe, it's always safe. I lay on the floor, looking at the ceiling, and felt that my life was more exciting than the Hollywood blockbuster in just 24 hours. My home, a haven for lying flat, chasing dramas and snacks, has now become a secret base with my golden fish girlfriend and puffer fish boss. Jean Ingqing seemed to feel that there was a strange thing at home, and she looked a little uneasy in the coffee table and went back and swam quickly. I got up from the ground, walked to the carpet package, and carefully uncovered the 2 thick carpets wrapped around it. As the carpet was pulled open, the huge, gray-clad puffer fish appeared before my eyes again. It looked listless, the thorns on its body were drooping softly, and its bulging body also shrank a little, but its body size was still amazing. When it saw me, its mouth moved, and it made a faint goo sound, and its eyes were filled with fatigue. "What can I do?" There's only one fish jar in my house, that coffee table, and it has been occupied by Lin Xiaoqing. You can't put them in a single box, right? When Lin Xiaoqing saw Wang Daxiao's temper, she probably would directly rush up and bite him. I looked around and finally locked my eyes on the bathtub of the bathroom. That was the only container in my house that could contain him. I sighed and reconsidered. I dragged the wilted puffer fish king into the bathroom with half wrapping, and then put it in the bathtub with a thump. Then, I opened the flower blossoms and started to put water into the bathtub. The water of the ice sank fell on Wang Dajin. He seemed to be a little more energetic and his body moved. When the water in the bathtub was almost half filled, he could only barely float up, no longer in a clean state. I sat on the horse bucket, looked at the puffer fish owner in the bathtub, and looked at my golden fish girlfriend in the coffee table in the living room. An unprecedented sense of absurdity covered me. What days did I have? At this moment, my phone was hit. I took it out and saw it was a strange number. I hesitated for a moment and still answered. Hey, hello? A cold sound from the phone, like an electronic processing, could not hear men and women or age. Mr. Zhang Xiaoyu, asked the voice. Yes, it's me. Please ask you? I felt inexplicably nervous. We've been watching you for a long time. The voice didn't answer my question, and he continued to say it himself, you have the potential, but it's too wasteful. Turn the clock in and turn your boss into a fish. These are just kids. My blood slumped in an instant. How did he know about this? Who are you? What do you want to fuck? I lowered my voice and asked nervously. There was a light smile from the phone, and the laughter was filled with disdain and confidence in controlling everything. We are the Deep Sea Alliance. We want to invite you to join us and become the true Sea King and release all your strength. Deep Sea Alliance? King of Fish? I held my cell phone and my brain buzzed, as if someone had knocked hard with a big horn. What is this and what? How do you hear the same name as the anime group with a very high-end second disease? And the Fish King? Did I hear something wrong? I, Zhang Xiaoyu, a social animal who just wants to be a fish, actually someone wants me to be the Fish King? Is this role positioning wrong? Who are you? How do you know about me? I tried to make my voice sound a little fixed, but my heartbeat was as fast as if I was beating a drum. This phone call is so strange that the other party not only knows my name, but also knows the mess I've been fucking. This explanation, they have been monitoring me. The cold electronic voice on the phone resounded again, carrying a high-level vocalization, who we are doesn't matter. What's important is that we know who you are and what you have. Your ability to turn all things into fish is a rare realization superpower, and it's the highest level. Unfortunately, you don't know how to use it at all. You just can create trouble like an out-of-control child. Saliva and cold sweat came out from behind. Every word he said was like a skull, tightly slapped in my most terrifying place. Superpower? Realized? I have only heard these words in novels and movies, and now someone is discussing this with me. I don't know what you're talking about. I instinctively denied, I'm just an ordinary person, you've called me wrong. After saying that, I wanted to stop. Ordinary people, the other party sneered, can ordinary people turn their girlfriends into golden fish and raise them in the coffee table? Can ordinary people turn their boss into puffer fish and hide them in the bathtub? Zhang Xiaoyu, don't deceive yourself anymore. This sentence was like a flash, directly slashing on my heavenly spiral. He knows everything about my family. How did he know? Could it be that he installed a monitor in my house? I subconsciously looked around, everything in the small rental house was as normal, and I could not see any abnormality. A sense of fear that people are sniffing, like countless cold hands, stretching over from all directions, tightly shaking my throat. What do you want? My voice was completely overwhelmed, full of fear and powerlessness. In front of such a mysterious organization that knew me well, I felt like a horn placed under a microscope, with all the secrets exposed. We don't want to do anything. The E-sounding spirit is slightly calmer, but it's still cold. We just think that your talent shouldn't be wasted on such trivial matters. The world is much bigger and more complex than you think. You are not the only one of the powers like you. And our deep sea alliance exists to guide and manage all those who are related to the ocean. We hope to give you orders so that your power can be used in greater things. A big business? I couldn't help but sneer, fearing that there was a terrible funny feeling in my mind. For example, is it turning all the slander of the world into starfish? Your situation is too small, Zhang Xiaoyu. A disappointment came from the other party's voice. Strength means power. When you can change the material shape as you wish, you have the potential to change the rules of the world. Imagine the gold in the financial market, the studs of politicians, the weapons of the enemy against the country. In front of your power, these will become unbearable. And you will become the king of the new order, which we call the king of the fish. I was stunned by the sound. Control the financial market? To overturn national government rights? Just worry about me, a waste wood that can only be moved home if I turn the boss into a puffer fish. I'm not interested in what king I am. I said in a flash, I just want to live my peaceful days, chase my dramas, eat my snacks. If you find someone wrong, I'm just an A-dog that can't be helped, and the mud can't be helped. You go find someone else. Still peaceful days? The sound of the phone suddenly became sharp. Do you think your current life can still be calm? You can't control your abilities, it will only lose control again and again because of your emotional fluctuations. Today's your boss, what about tomorrow? Maybe it's your parents, maybe anyone on the street. An innocent passerby. The chaos you create will grow bigger and bigger until you can no longer hide it. By then, you will not be faced with our invitation, but with the enemy and fear from the entire world. Only by joining us and learning to control your strength can you truly protect the peace you want to protect. His words were like a basin of ice water, which shook me through my heart from head to foot. He said it was right. I can't control this ghost ability at all. All of this has made me worry about today. What should I do if something serious happens in the future? I was silent, and my heart was pierced. On one side is the fish life I dreamed of, and on the other side is this deep sea alliance that suddenly emerged, full of confusion and danger. Think about it, Zhang Xiaoyu. The Ying seemed to notice my movement. We are very patient. Give you 3 days. In 3 days, we will contact you again. Hopefully, by then, you can make a smart choice. Yes, as a small gift to express our sincerity, tell you a little tip. It is useless to turn your works back, just apologize and wish. You need to find the core emotion when you touch them and reverse it. After saying that, the phone closed with a beep. I stood there blankly with my cell phone, repeatedly rumbling on his last sentence in my brain. Core sentiment, reverse it. I suddenly raised my head and looked at the bathroom. What is the core sentiment of turning Wang Dawei into a puffer fish? It's anger. Extremely filled with resentment. Because he unreasonably denied my work and wronged me. Then, what is the rebellious anger? Original? Understand? Or, great. Let me be grateful to Wang Dajin. This is even harder than making me split the dredge with bare hands. I took a deep breath. No matter what, I had to try it. This is the only trace at present. I walked to the entrance of the bathroom and looked at the huge puffer fish in the bathtub with a sad look, and began to moisten the emotions. President Wang. I said in a difficult manner, actually. Think about it carefully, you sent me yesterday for my good fortune. I am not angry, and I am doing the same report as shit, wasting your time and company resources. You are serious about me, hoping that I can grow and improve. I am misleading your efforts. I said I was almost vomiting, so embarrassed that my toes could roll out 3 bedrooms and 1 hall on the ground. It seems not enough yet. I have to add some hard medicine. I closed my eyes and began to recall the few advantages that Wang Dashi had on him. Although he was flirting with the door, he still got the prize at the end of the year. Although he was furious, he seemed to have never really removed anyone. Last time I caught a cold and asked for a leave, he still approved it even though he was sloppy in his mouth. I put together these sporadic memory fragments and tried hard to make myself believe that Wang Dalu is actually a good boss with a bad face. A twisted, helpless gratitude began to slowly ferment in my heart. President Wang, thank you. I opened my eyes and said in a sincere manner that is comparable to the Oscar-winning actor, thank you for your encouragement and cultivation of me. Without your strict requirements, I would not be today. I swear that I will work hard in the future and make every report perfect, and I will never be in your expectations. Just as I finished speaking, a miracle happened. The huge puffer fish in the bathtub suddenly flew. Its bulging body began to shrink and shrink quickly like a leaky ball. The spikes on his body also collapsed. The gray skin gradually changed to its normal skin color, the rounded body was stretched, and the limbs and brains slowly reappeared. After a few seconds, the bathtub was no longer a puffer fish, but turned into a naked body, moistened and confused face. Wang Dazhu. He sat in the bathtub, staring at his hands blankly, and touched his face again, his eyes filled with confusion and shock after the disaster. Then, he raised his head and his eyes collided with me. I looked at him, he looked at me. The air solidified. The next second, his face, which had recovered from human form, was even more redder than when he was a puffer fish before due to shock, anger and shame. Zhang Xiaoyu. A roar broke through the sky and exploded in my small rental house. That sound of Zhang Xiaoyu made my eardrums buzz, and I felt that the glass on the entire building was covered with 3 pieces. Wang Daxia sat naked in the bathtub. The face turned from red to black, and the fire sprayed from his eyes almost ignited me. I dare say that he hasn't been so bad. What was my reaction at that time? Run. I turned around and rushed to the living room, my brain was blank, and my only thought was to leave this volcano that was about to explode. But I forgot that my house is so big, where can I go? Stop it! Wang Daxia's roar came from behind, accompanied by a huge sound of water. When I looked back, I was scared and almost lost my soul. He actually stood up from the bathtub, naked, like an angry bull, ready to sweep towards me. President Wang. You are calm. Tell me if you want to say it. Put on your clothes first. I stepped back, pointed at him, and shouted indescribably. We're your mother's clothes. Wang Dalu was so angry that he stopped talking. Zhang Xiaoyu. What did your mother do to me? How could I become? He said it was stuck halfway, as if it was difficult to kill himself and become a fish. Just like this, the golden fish Ching in the living room coffee table seemed to be scared by this huge silence, and turned around in the water, causing the glass to bang bang. Wang Daxi's eyes were attracted by the sound. He saw the huge glass coffee table fish tank and the eye-catching orange and golden fish inside. He was stunned for a moment, and immediately a look of shock and disbelief appeared on his face. This isn't. He stared at the golden fish, as if he had realized something. My heart skipped a beat and it was damaged. Wang Dawei has just met Lin Xiaoqing several times, and she has also been there during the company's annual meeting. Although it is a fish now, Lin Xiaoqing's unique and energetic atmosphere seems to have such a shadow. Zhang Xiaoyu. Wang Dao's voice trembled. He pointed to the fish in the coffee table and pointed at me. You even your girlfriend. I simply wanted to find a place to diamond. Now that he knows it all. Taking advantage of his shocked empty space, I grabbed a blanket from the sofa, slammed it over and threw it on him, and held his unsightly beautiful body. President Wang. Let's talk about this. You'll be calm first, let's sit down and talk slowly. Are you going? Wang Dali was wrapped in a blanket and seemed to have recovered a little bit of reason. He looked down at himself, then at me, and finally sat down on the sofa, holding his head in both hands, looking like the world view had been hit hard. Say it. He said with a slight voice, what the hell is going on? What can I say? I suddenly realized that I had a superpower, and because I was in a bad mood, I turned you into a puffer fish. Does he believe it? But now, it seems that I can only say something. I took a deep breath and told me all the strange incidents I had experienced over the past 2 days, from the clock-in machine to the shark, to the forest sunny turning into the golden fish, to the puffer fish, all of which were said to be all in all. Of course, I didn't mention the phone number about Deep Sea Alliance. I think this is too big to tell others at will. I said it so hard that Wang De was listening calmly, and the expression on his face went from shock to suspicion, and then to the end, a strange and calmness. After I finished talking, he was silent for a long time, so long that I thought he was asleep. So, he finally opened his mouth, and his voice was like a silly, "You mean, you have a superpower now? As long as you are emotionally excited, you can turn things, or people into fish. It's probably what it means." I clicked a little, and I didn't dare to look at him. He was silent again. Only the coffee table is left in the living room with a slight sound of water when the golden fish is swimming. After a long time, he suddenly raised his head and looked at me, with a very complex light that I had never seen before. There are fears and jealousy, but more of them are excited. Then, he licked his dry lips and asked probably, "Can you turn anything into fish? Like a stone?" I was stunned for a moment, wondering why he suddenly asked about this. "I've never tried it." I slammed my head and said, "I don't know, I can't control it." Then, he asked again, with a trembling that was hard to detect in his voice, "Can you turn the fish back? For example, like your girlfriend?" This question was asked on the click. I immediately remembered what the Deep Sea Alliance said, the core of the reversal. What is the core emotion of turning Lin Xiaoqing into a golden fish? It is anger and grievance during quarrels. I shouted, "I want to be a fish." In my opinion, I was complaining that she didn't understand me and why I just wanted to be a fish, and I felt that the pressure she put on me was too great. So, should this kind of emotion be understanding and love? I walked to the coffee table, squatted down, and looked at the golden fish Qing swimming in the water. My brain began to play back the points of my time with her. Although she has a hot temper and doesn't like anyone, she always leaves me a light and a table of food when I work overtime and late. Although she always makes me feel bored, she will try to make me happy every time I get beaten up by the boss. She forces me to go up, and actually hopes that I can live better. I was too selfish and only saw her forced me, ignoring her deep love and concern. A strong guilt and love surged from the bottom of my heart. "Xiaoqing," I said lightly, with a sob choking in the voice, "I'm sorry. I understand everything. You're not forcing me, you care about me. I'm too a bastard, I just treat myself and have never been to me well. I love you, Xiaoqing. Are you going back? We won't argue anymore, and I'll hear you from now on. What I say is the truth, from the heart." Just as I finished speaking, the golden fish in the coffee table suddenly emitted a soft orange light. The light was so warm that it made the entire living room feel warm. Wang Dao's eyes were straightened when he saw him. In the light, the golden fish's body began to grow, and the fish's shape quickly faded, changing back to Lin Xiaoqing's graceful and moving figure. The water was discharged in an instant, and it was filled with it. Lin Xiaoqing was like that, standing naked in the middle of the coffee table with only a layer of clean water, like a just-born Venus. She was still a little confused, looked down at her feet, then at the surrounding environment, and finally, her eyes fell on my face. The eyes are opposite. The next second, her pretty face, which was still carrying water droplets, instantly became red. Ah! A scream that was more sharp than Wang Dalu was just a few times more sharp than that of Yunqiao. Then, she saw Wang Daz, who was shackled on the sand and was also naked and wrapped in a blanket. Her scream came to an abrupt end, and the expression on her face changed from shame to extreme shock. Then, she looked down at herself, then at Wang Dai, and finally at me. The air in the entire living room seemed to solidify at this moment. Time has stopped. "Zhang, little, see." Lin Xiaoqing's voice seemed to have been flying out of the Jiuyo underworld, word by word. "Can you explain me what's going on now?" I tell you that at that moment, I really felt that I would be decomposed into atoms on the scene in the next second. the atmosphere in the living room has either solidified or been vacuumed. On the left is Lin Xiaoqing, who is naked, moist and standing in the coffee table, and is angry. On the right is Wang Dazhen, the boss, who is also naked, wrapped in a blanket, and is shocked with a face. And I, Zhang Xiaoyu, are in the middle of these two active volcanoes that are about to be discharged at the same time. At that time, I had only one thought in my mind: this is probably the end of the world. This. My tongue was tying, trying to explain it, but I found that any language seemed so powerless at this moment. I can't always say, "Hi, Xiaoqing, welcome back. Let me introduce you to President Wang, who just returned from a puffer fish. We are having a different naked party." When this is said, I guess I'll die with a rhythmic feeling. Lin Xiaoqing's eyes were like two sharp ice skates, cutting back and forth on me. She took a deep breath, as if she was under the extreme pressure to control the power of the body. She pointed to Wang Dazhen, then to herself, and finally pointed at me. The sound was so cold that it could drop ice. "So, during this period when I was not here, are you having fun at my house?" No. Not what you think. I was so scared that I was flying, and I tightened my hands. "It's not what you think. King General. He is also a victim." "Victim?" Lin Xiaoqing sneered, and the laughter made me creepy. She stepped out of the coffee table, and the water was stomped on her and she was stomping on it. I could even feel the floor shaking slightly with every step she took. I subconsciously stepped back until my back hit the wall and had no choice but to retreat. Wang Dawei also reacted at this time. His old face turned into a pig's liver, wrapped tightly in the blanket on his body, and was embarrassed and wished he could turn back to the puffer fish and diamond into the bathtub. Miss Lin, listen to me to explain it. This is really a mistake. I just returned." Not only did his explanation not work, but instead he was oiled on the fire. "You're just coming back?" Just when this century-old misunderstanding is about to be upgraded to a bloody case, I am sensible and yelled, "He is a pufferfish. The king is always a pufferfish." This sentence was like a shocking thunder, which almost shocked Lin Xiaoqing. She stood there in a daze, looked at me, then looked at Wang Dazhen, and wrote an expression of "You mother is teasing me." "What are you talking about?" I said, "Mr. Wang is just a pufferfish. Like me, I was accidentally changed by my ability." I explained quickly. I moved him back from the company, put him into the bathtub, and then I thought of changing him back. We are absolutely purer than pure water. If you don't believe me, please ask him. I turned my eyes to Wang Dazhen for help. Wang Dawei couldn't take it anymore, and he kept pointing his head, like a little chicken pecking at rice. "Forget it. Miss Lin, what Xiaoyu said is true. I am that pufferfish. I can prove it." A man in his 40s, wrapped in a blanket naked, desperately proving that he was just a fish, and how he looked at it. Lin Xiaoqing looked at us crying in an anxious mood, and cried in a daze. The murderous atmosphere on our faces disappeared a little, replaced by an extreme confusion and absurd feeling. She looked at this messy living room, the water, the overturned carpet, and two strange men, Wang Dazhen and I. "So?" She was silent for a long time, and finally opened her mouth, and her voice was still a little bit scattered. "Did you turn your boss into a pufferfish? And move back home?" "Well..." I pointed my head weakly. She was silent again, her eyes reciprocating between me and Dawei. Finally, she let out a long breath, as if she was about to spit out all the shock and anger of the day and night. "Zhang Xiaoyu," she said in a very tired language, "I need a piece of clothing. Now, immediately. Then, I need a hot shower. I don't want to see any creatures in this house besides you. Do you understand?" I understand completely. I felt like I was amnesty, and I rushed into the bedroom, rummaged through the cabinet and found her a clean pajamas and bath towel, then pulled out a clean sports suit from my cabinet and threw it to Wang Dazhen. "Mr. Wang, you feel aggrieved first, wear this one." Wang Dala just took the clothes and grabbed them as quickly as he could. Although he wore my clothes like tight clothes, they covered my body at least. Lin Xiaoqing took her clothes and walked into the bathroom without saying a word, then closed the door with a bang. Soon, a sound of water came from it. In the living room, only Wang Dasheng and I were left. We were all in love with each other and the atmosphere was so awkward. That, Mr. Wang, today's incident is really unfair. I slapped my head and broke the silence. Wang Daowei just slapped his hand, and his face was still difficult to see, but the anger in his eyes had been replaced by a deeper emotion. It was a complicated look of fear, curiosity and a greedy complex look. Little fish. He cleared his throat, his temperament changed. He was no longer the boss of the commander, but instead brought a confidential tone. Is your ability really so bad? I don't know either. I answered seriously. He rubbed his hands, slapped over, and lowered his voice, as if discussing something absolutely secret plan. Then can you turn something else into worth the money fish? For example, what blue-bellied gold gunfish? Or squid? That kind of one is better than 1,000,000? I looked at him in amazement. I just turned him back from a puffer fish. He didn't think about how to pursue my responsibility or how to deal with this incredible thing. What he was thinking about in his brain. Is this guy's business head engraved in DNA? Mr. Wang, this is not something I can change as long as I want. I was so amused and crying, and that is life. How can I sell money? Why can't you? His eyes lit up, as if he had discovered the new mainland. If you transform it, I'm responsible for selling it. We're 28 points. You're 8 and I'm 2. No, you're 9 and I'm 1. Think about it, this is a cost-free purchase. We can make a fortune immediately, and what else can we do? We'll be free directly. I looked at his red face because of excitement and suddenly realized that turning him into a puffer fish was not a bad thing. Just when I didn't know how to respond to his crazy creation plan, the door of the warehouse opened with a click. Lin Xiaoqing walked out wearing her big pajamas and rubbed her damp hair. Her face was bloody, but her expression was still cold. She glanced at us and said directly to Wang Dasha. President Wang, right? I don't care whether you are a fish or a bird. Now, please leave my house. She said, pointing to her door. Her temperament was unresolvable. As for what happened today, you'd better keep it in your stomach. If I could hear a little sound outside. She didn't say it, but the threat in her eyes was more powerful than any other word. Wang Daowei was just stuck in this atmosphere by her, and she smiled unexpectedly, not daring to mention his terrible royal creation plan. He stood up and said to me, then, little fish, I'll leave first. At the company, you'll come to work normally tomorrow. When he said this, his eyes suddenly looked like he was not thinking about how to face me tomorrow. I ordered the head and sent him to the door. After closing the door, the whole world is completely calm. Only Lin Xiaoqing and I were left in the room. I turned around and saw her holding her arms, leaning against the wall, looking at me coldly. Okay, she said, now, it's your turn. Zhang Xiaoyu, let me explain it clearly from the beginning to the end. What are you? I stood in the middle of the living room, facing Lin Xiaoqing, who was standing with his arms in his arms and with sharp eyes, and felt as if I was standing in the dock of the verdict. After taking a shower, her hair was still moist and she did not apply makeup on her face, which felt more pressure than when she was usually dressed in exquisite makeup. The confession from the broad, resistance from the strict atmosphere that emerges from the bones makes me cautious in breathing. Where to start? What's the resentment of working overtime? Or from that unlucky clock and machine? From the head. Lin Xiaoqing's voice was calm, but this calmness scared me more than anger. What happened before you turned me into a golden fish, said. I took a deep breath and knew that I could not hide from it. So, I could only start working overtime the night before yesterday to tell how the clock machine turned into a fish, how to swallow my work card, and then how I lost control of the relationship and caused her to be hit when I quarreled with her. I was so dry that I wanted to drink a sip of water a few times in the middle, but looking at her solemn expression, I didn't dare to move. Then, I talked about how to turn Wang Dawei into a puffer fish this morning, how to drive him home in surprise, and how to mistakenly find a way to turn him back. I was very detailed in the whole process and dared not be confused. Of course, I still subconsciously hid the mysterious phone called Deep Sea Alliance. That matter was too strange and too dangerous, and I didn't want to pull her in two. Lin Xiaoqing just listened quietly, without interrupting a word from the beginning to the end, and the expression on her face did not change much, but her eyes became deeper and deeper, as if she was thinking, and as if she was evaluating the credibility of what I said. When I finally finished giving everything, I looked at her tightly, waiting for her decision. She would think I was crazy, and then call the mental hospital car to pull me away? Or would you scream and say I'm a monster, then pack up and run away from home? To my surprise, she didn't do either. She was silent for a long time, walked to the sofa and sat down, then patted the position beside her. "Sit down," she said. I hesitated for a moment, and still walked over obediently, sat down beside her, but I only dared to sit half of my butt, and my body was tightly tidy. So, she finally opened her mouth again, with a confirmation in her language: "Your current ability, the condition of touching, is your own strong emotional fluctuation, and you can't control what you will turn into?" "Well, it seems like that." I clicked the head. "The way to change back," she continued, "does you need to have a completely opposite emotion from the time you touch. It seems like this at the moment." I remembered the example of Wang Deju and her, and this suggestion should be correct. She clicked the head, as if she had accepted this absurd setting. Then, she suddenly turned over, looked at me with big bright eyes, and asked a question that I had never expected. "Then what were you thinking when you turned me back?" I said and my face turned red in an instant. This question, is it too straightforward? Let me take her face and recount my stingy inner selflessness. I can't do it. Just. I hesitated, my eyes suddenly, and I didn't dare to look at her. "Just think about some of our past events." "What did you think of?" She refused to let go, and her body continued to rush forward and approached me. I just want you to be nice to me." My voice was so small that it was like a mosquito screaming, and my face was so burnt that it could fry chicken eggs. I used to be a bastard, I didn't understand you, and then what? And then I thought, I love you. I almost pulled out the last 3 words from my teether. After saying that, I wish I could dig a hole on the ground and bury myself. Too shy and just open a sentence. I thought she would laugh at me or complain about my sluttiness. But unexpectedly, after hearing this, she was stunned for a moment, and then her eyes gradually turned red. She didn't pass by, sniffed, and turned back. The aggressive atmosphere in her eyes had completely disappeared, and replaced by a complex, soft emotion. "You, stupid!" She cried out in a small voice, but there was a trembling that was hard to detect. Seeing her like this, the big stone in my heart that had been lying on me suddenly fell to the ground with a bang. I know, I've been there for this. The atmosphere in the living room is no longer so scattered. After a long time, Lin Xiaoqing seemed to remember something and suddenly asked, "Then what did you think when you just turned Wang Dala back? Can you still be grateful to him?" When it comes to this, I always have a constipated expression on my face. Don't mention it. In order to figure out his advantages, my brain cells have all died. I tell you, I began to doubt my life at that time, and I fully understood his usual behavior of squeezing us as grinding in cultivation. That feeling is more difficult than letting me eat a pound of bitter melon. After Lin Xiaoqing finished listening, she couldn't help but laughed out loud. This smile seemed to blow away all the haze. She gave me a blank look and said angrily, "Look at your promising prospect." Although she said this on her mouth, she naturally leaned her head against my shoulder. I froze for a moment, then relaxed, reached out and gently slapped her. Her hair was also filled with the fragrance of shampoo, and her warm body leaned against me, making me feel incomparable peace of mind. "Little fish," she leaned against me and said softly, "this is too big. What will happen in the future?" Yes, what will happen in the future? This problem is like a big mountain, heavily pressing on our hearts. I can't be angry or excited forever. This unstable ability is like a regular blowout that may detonate around us at any time. I don't know either. I said in a fair manner, you can only control your emotions as much as possible. In the future, you should be more aware of it and don't always make me angry. Hey! You're going to turn the tables, right? She pinched my waist lightly and hard. It's obvious that you are not promising, and you just want to lie down every day. Are you still wrong when I say 2 words to you? Where do I have? I muttered in a low voice. She sighed and her language became more serious. Say it's true. You can't let the third person know about your ability. Wang Deju. He shouldn't dare to say anything, I analyzed. It's not good for him to say this. No one will believe it, he will just treat him as a crazy person. Moreover, he also saw your harm today, and he probably didn't dare to mess with you. The most important thing is that I feel that the guy, Wang Dalu, may still be playing other calculations in his heart, and he won't easily open this trump card. That's good. She pointed, and then said, we're going to conduct special training on you from tomorrow. Ah. Special training? I was stunned. What is the special training? Emotional management special. She sat upright, her eyes were bright, and she returned to the energetic female model. You are like a 3-year-old holding a loaded gun, which is too dangerous. We must try to let you learn to control your emotions. At least, you can't drop the chains when you are in the key. I looked at her eager face and my heart was filled with hair. I seemed to have foreseen my future life in dire straits. Then, what's the specific training? I asked carefully. She touched her chin, pondered for a moment, then her eyes lit up and she pressed her finger. There is. The first step is to solve the problem from the root. She looked at me and showed a devilish smile. If you don't have any negative feelings, the best way is to let you not have time to think about those messy things. Starting tomorrow, you get up at 6 a.m. and go for a 5-kilometer morning jogging with me, come back from get off work, do meals, wash dishes, mop the floor, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., go online fitness classes with me, after 10 p.m., learn English for an hour. On the weekend, we go to a class to learn new skills, such as flower arrangement, pottery. Cultivate your character. I heard her series of devil training plans. My mouth became bigger and bigger, and my face became whiter and whiter. What's the difference between this and going to jail? What about me as a happy fish dream? That's it, breaking? I looked at her unquestionable eyes and felt sad, just wanting to shout, I'll continue to fish. The next morning, it was not dawn, and I was dragged out of the dream by a violent sway. I opened my eyes in a daze and saw Lin Xiaoqing's enlarged face. She was wearing a tight professional sports outfit, her hair was neatly cut, and she looked a lot more energetic, which formed a clear contrast to my appearance that she had been drained from her soul. Get up. Zhang Dashi. She shook my shoulders and used her clear voice to attack my ears with a 360-degree ring-shaped 3-dimensional sound. I said that I ran for 6 o'clock in the morning, and now it's 6 o'clock in 1 minute. You waste a minute of life. I'll sleep for another 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. I buried my head in the quilt and tried to do the final slap. Last night, I broke into the middle of the night just by cleaning up the living room. I felt my bones almost disintegrated, and now my eyelids are as heavy as glue. No 5 minutes. Lin Xiaoqing lifted my quilt without mercy, and the morning smog made me tremble in an instant. She picked me up from the bed like a chicken, the first class of the special training of emotional management, overcome laziness. Go and change your clothes. She pushed me halfway in half to get me into the bathroom. Looking at my sleepy face with a chicken on my face, I felt that life was full of hope. What was my dream? I slept until I woke up naturally, and then lay on the bed and chased the play and ate snacks. And what about now? Before dawn, I was about to be pulled from the bed and run the 5 kilometers that I had died. Is this the price of superpowers? This generation of prices is too heavy. 15 minutes later, I was so tired that I was wearing an unfit old sportswear that was dragged out of the door by Lin Xiaoqing. The air in the early morning was very fresh, there were not many people on the road, there were only a few big mothers who got up early to flirt. I dragged my heavy steps and felt like every step was stepping on cotton. Run. Straighten your waist. Put your arms on. Lin Xiaoqing was standing beside me, like a strict personal trainer, jogging easily, and constantly correcting my posture. I was running and couldn't catch my breath, and I felt my lungs almost explode. I can't do it anymore, Xiaoqing, let me rest. No. She refused in a vein, this is the beginning. Look at your strength, which is worse than Wang Daling, who is so fierce in the park. With your physical condition, you will not be able to escape even if you encounter danger in the future. I felt aggrieved in my heart. I am a literary and social animal. My daily job is to sit and my only exercise is to walk from my seat to the bathroom. How good do you expect me to be able to have? A irritable emotion began to emerge in my heart. I'm so angry that I'm so angry, what are you going to run? Isn't it nice to lie down when I go home? At this moment, the glimpse of my eyes glanced at a wandering cat rummaging for food beside the trash can. A terrible thought popped up uncontrollably, you are so angry that you can run, you simply turn into a snare and go to the sea to swim. No 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 no. I suddenly felt excited and broke out in a cold sweat. I closed my eyes tightly and tried my best to throw out this dangerous idea. My brain began to recall Lin Xiaoqing's good deeds, she made me food, she made me wash clothes, she took care of me when I was sick. She let me run for my own good, so that I could have a healthy body. Huh. I let out a long breath, and the anxious feeling was finally suppressed by me. What are you fucking? Suddenly stopping? Lin Xiaoqing ran to me and asked strangely. No. It's okay. I wiped the cold sweat from my head and said with a thrust, I was a little out of breath. Lin Xiaoqing glanced at me suspiciously, but she didn't think much about it. She just said, then slow down and adjust your breathing. Hold on, it's the last kilometer. Lin Xiaoqing was like an innocent person, and she was stretching her side with a trembling spirit. Okay, go take a shower and change your clothes, and then make breakfast. She ordered. Also, want to make breakfast? I felt dark in front of me. Otherwise? Who said that last night has heard me from now on? She raised her eyebrows. I had no choice but to drag my body, which was about to fall apart, and moved into the kitchen step by step. In this way, my devil's special training life officially kicked off. Run in the morning, exercise in the evening, and also include all the homework in the middle. I felt that I had evolved from a fish to a euro that was constantly beaten, and I turned my head every day, and I didn't have time to get lost. Don't say that although this method is violent, the effect is really obvious. Because I am as tired as a dog every day, I don't have the energy to think about the non-something, and the frequency of negative emotions is greatly reduced. My abilities seem to have been sealed at a time. It took me a week to be peaceful and careless. This day, I went to work in the company as usual. As soon as I entered the office, I felt the atmosphere was a bit strange. The eyes of my colleagues all looked at me with an indecipherable meaning, as if my face had grown flowers. The strangest thing is Wang Dajin. Since the puffer fish incident, his attitude towards me has undergone a 180-degree change. I used to yell at me if I was not moving, but now I am very charming. Sometimes I even take the initiative to pour me a glass of water, asking me with great concern if I am tired from work. This sudden concern made me feel goosebumps, and I always felt that he was holding on. Sure enough, when he was about to get off work in the afternoon, he called me into his office. Little fish, come and sit down. He pointed at the chair opposite him with a smile on his face. I stood there in my heart and sat down. President Wang, are you asking me for something? He first chatted with me about the weather, and then pretended to express my work performance well recently, and then finally saw it in the picture and brought the topic to the main business. Little fish. He rubbed his hands and looked at me with an extremely obscene look. Is your ability still stable lately? My heart skipped a beat and I knew he was not kind. It's okay, I answered vaguely. That's good, that's good. He clicked the head, then took out something from the drawer, put it on the table, and pushed it in front of me. It was a very ordinary-looking stone, the size of a pebble. President Wang, are you? I was confused. Wang Daowei lowered his voice and a passionate feeling on his face. Little fish, I have thought about it for the past few days. The risk of our rock plan is still too great and easy to attract attention. However, I thought of a more absolute solution. He pointed to the stone on the table, his eyes flashing with gold. What if you could turn this stone into a gold of the same size? I was shocked by his strange thoughts. Mr. Wang, my ability is to turn things into fish. Not into gold. Oh, I know it's become fish. He seemed to have already thought of a solution, but there are so many types of fish. Is there a fish that is golden in itself and the value is the same as gold? For example, yellow, golden fish? I simply don't know what to say. In order to make money, this guy's brain has already broken through the sky. Mr. Wang, this is impossible. I tried to calm him down. I can't control the fish that will be used. Moreover, even if it is transformed, it is still a fish, not gold. How can you know if you don't try? Wang Daowei didn't give up. He was almost begging me, little fish, just try it once, just once. Think about it, as long as you succeed, we will no longer have to look at people's faces here with a bitter taste. Buy whatever game you want, and chase whatever drama you want. This is the real life of fish. His last sentence, like a devil's whisper, hit the softest part of my heart. Real, fish life? I admit, my heart moved. If we can really get the right place in one step and be rich and free, then will we not have to work so hard anymore? A strong desire for money, mixed with the admiration for a comfortable life, quickly expanded in my heart. I stared at the uncommon stone on the table, and my brain began to uncontrollably fantasize about it becoming a golden look of golden light. Just try once? I asked hesitantly. I took a deep breath, reached out my hand, and held the stone head tall and majestic. The cold touch comes from the palm. I closed my eyes, tweaked all my imagination and desires, and shouted wildly in my heart. Gold! Gold! Turned into gold. No, it's golden fish. The most valuable golden fish. Just when my emotions reached the top, I felt the stone in my hand tremble suddenly, and then it began to heat up and change. Success? I suddenly opened my eyes and looked at my palms with anticipation. The stone in my hand is missing. Instead, it is a small fish with golden yellow color. Wang Daxi's eyes lit up instantly, and his breathing became rapid. But the next second, our expressions froze. Because the golden fish is not in my hands calmly. Behind its tail, a fine, long-tail spike with an inverted ridge emerged. Then, it twisted in the palm of my hand, and with a swoosh sound, it pierced the tail thorn into the back of the hand that Wang Dai had just placed on the table. Ah! Wang Dao let out a pig-like cry, and the whole person flared up from the chair. I shook my hand and the golden and yellow fish fell to the ground, making a click sound, and then it melted and evaporated quickly like a beach mud, disappearing without any trace. In the office, only Wang Dalu was left covering the back of his hand that was quickly swelling, and he was suffocating in pain, and I was still standing there in a daze. I will be frustrated again. Moreover, the fish that has been transformed this time seems poisonous. I was stunned at that time and stared at Wang Dali with his hands covering his wailing on the ground. The scene was even more intense than the last time he turned into a puffer fish. The back of his pierced hand was shattered at a speed visible to the naked eye, like a noodle's, and the color changed from red to a strange purple color, which looked like he was infected with some poison. President Wang. You're okay, Mr. Wang? I reacted and squatted down to help him, feeling panicked. What is this called? I didn't succeed in pointing out a poisonous thing, but I also accurately attacked my partner. Does this ability have an automatic anti-challenge function? It's something. My mother is almost dead. Wang Daoi's facial features were distorted in pain, and his head was covered with cold sweat. Hurry, call the rescue car. I feel half of my body numb. I was so scared that I almost disappeared when I heard this. If I really poisoned the boss to death, then I wouldn't have lost control of my superpowers, and I would be a murderer. I took out my phone in a hurry and pressed 120 with trembling. As soon as the phone was connected, I explained the situation and address as quickly as possible, only saying that someone was injured by an unknown biological organ and the situation was critical. I dare not say that I was stabbed by a golden poisonous fish made of stones, otherwise I would have brought several psychiatric doctors when the rescue truck came. After hanging the phone, I saw that Wang Dajuan's face was getting worse and worse, and his lips began to turn purple. I was so anxious that I was like a hot pot, and I was in the office to redirect. What to do? What to do? The doctor came and saw this wound, he would definitely ask what he was bitten by. How to explain it then? A thought suddenly flashed in my brain: Deep Sea Alliance. That mysterious organization, they knew so well about my abilities, maybe they knew what this thing was, and how to detoxify. Although I don't want to get involved with them, it's time to save people. I looked out the call record and found the strange call that had no number displayed. I held my heart for a trial and pressed the reply button. To my surprise, the phone actually got through. After responding to the two sounds, the other side was connected, and the cold, electronically processed sound came from Mr. Zhang Xiaoyu. It seems you're in trouble. The other party's speech was not surprised, as if he had expected that I would call this phone. Stop talking. I was so anxious that I almost yelled out, my friend isn't right, it's my boss who was stabbed by the fish I transformed from. Now I'm poisoned. Tell me, what fish is this? Is there any antidote? The phone was silent for a few seconds, and then he smiled lightly. What you mean by golden fish is called golden fish in our database. It is not real gold, but a mortal creature. The toxins in its body are similar to neurotoxins. Although they are not fatal, they will cause pain and long-term numbness. As for the medicine, he deliberately raised his voice. What exactly is the antidote? Say it. I asked anxiously. There is no antidote. He spit out 3 words coldly. My heart sank, like a slump in ice. No antidote? Then what should I do? He won't be so irritated all the time, right? Of course not. Ian slowly said, this toxin has a characteristic that it hangs with the host's emotions. The more fear and pain the host's emotions are, the stronger the toxin will be. On the contrary, if it can produce strong, positive emotions, such as extreme happiness, the toxin will decompose naturally. Extremely happy. I lowered my head and looked at Wang Dajuan, who was almost fainting from pain on the ground, and the corners of my mouth twitched. Let him have the most extreme happiness now. This is even more difficult than making him grateful to me, right? Are you playing tricks on me? I yelled at the phone. Believe it or not. The other party's words were filled with joy. This is the price of your power, Zhang Xiaoyu. Do you think power is a tool for you to satisfy your selfishness? It's too naive. I'll remind you that the rescue car will arrive in 5 minutes. If you don't want your boss to be sent to the anatomy room as a medical miracle, it's best to try to make him happy before they come. After saying that, the phone was shut down by a beep sound again. I held my cell phone, as dumb as a wooden chicken. This Deep Sea Alliance is simply the devil. They gave me a solution, but this solution itself is a huge problem. 5 minutes. I only have 5 minutes. I looked at Wang Dajuan, who was dying on the ground, and his brain flew quickly. How can a person who is poisonous and in pain feels extremely happy? Give him money? Give him a promotion? These are all too virtual, and the distance cannot save the near fire. It must be the most direct, primitive, and most swaying happiness in his heart. Wang Dashi, who is so busy running, what do you care about the most? It's money, career, and the sense of accomplishment that surpasses competitors. Have it. I seemed to have grabbed the life-saving straw and immediately started to move. I rushed to his desk, opened his computer, and quickly pounded on the keyboard. I am still familiar with the company's business system, and soon I adjusted the company's sales report for this quarter. President Wang. Pony Wang, listen to me. I turned my notebook computer to him, and the sound was a little sharp because of the excitement. Look! Our performance in this quarter. It exploded. It exploded in the end. Wang Dalo opened his eyes weakly and looked at me confusedly. Look at this number. I pointed to the data I just modified with P-Picture software on the screen. It was an astronomical number, which was several times better than our total performance last year. Our biggest competitor, the company that killed President Li, who snatched us every day, has been left far behind by us. We are the number one in the city. No. The number one in the country. I don't know where the acting skills are, and I say it sounds so vividly, as if everything is true. Wang Dashi seemed to have regained his spirit in his eyes. He tried to see more clearly. And this one. I switched the screen and opened a fake Forbes Rich ranking page. It was listed on it with Wang Dajin's name and image, and the ranking was quite high. President Wang. You are on the list. You are a billionaire now. You succeeded. Your dream of this kind has come true. I've succeeded. Wang Dayan's lips trembled, and a strong light burst out from his eyes. Yes. You succeeded. I gave him the last hot medicine. You can sell your company now, take a few billion in cash, go to the world, buy a boat, and go anywhere you want. You no longer have to look at anyone's face. You are free. Free. He murmured, and the face twisted by pain slowly opened a very strange smile. It was a very ecstatic smile that came from the heart. His hands, which were as lusty as pigs' hooves, began to fade away at a speed visible to the naked eye, returning to his normal color. The high bulging trunk disappeared quickly like a leaky ball. After a few seconds, his hand returned to its original state. In addition to a small red spot on the back of my hand, it looked like it was bitten by a mosquito, and there was no abnormality anymore. He couldn't feel the pain anymore, so he got up from the ground, stared blankly at his hands, looked at me again, and then at the fake rankings on the computer screen. The whole person was in a very arrogant state. I've lost money? I've really lost money? He grabbed my shoulder and shook it wildly. They saw at first glance the Wang Dajiang who was shaking me wildly, and his face that appeared somewhat maniacal due to ecstasy. The leading doctor was stunned for a moment, then asked carefully, "Excuse me, which patient called the police just now? Said they were stung by an unknown creature and were about to die?" Wang Dajiang and I both froze at the same time. We too looked at each other. The atmosphere was very awkward for a while. In the end, Wang Dajiang reacted quickly. He let go of me, cleared his throat, regained a bit of his boss demeanor, waved his hand at the doctors, with the ecstasy on his face not completely faded. "Oh, it's nothing, it's nothing. Just now, it was just low blood sugar, a bit dizzy, now it's better. I just closed a big deal, got excited, and the illness is gone. Sorry for making everyone come for nothing." The medical staff looked at each other, their faces full of "you're fucking kidding me" expressions. The leading doctor scrutinized us both for a long time with a look as if we were lunatics, finally said ungraciously, "Don't call the police randomly next time," then left angrily with his people. In the office, only Wang Dajiang and I were left again. The smile on his face slowly disappeared, looking at that glaring number on the computer screen, then looked at me. His eyes became extremely complex. "So?" he asked hoarsely, "those just now, were all fake?" I nodded awkwardly. After the huge ecstasy, came even greater loss. Wang Dajiang's face was uglier than when he was poisoned just now. He slumped back into his chair, as if all his strength had been drained. Ding-ling-ling. At that moment, my phone rang. I picked it up and saw that it was Lin Xiaoqing calling. I quickly answered it. "Zhang Xiaoyu." From the other end of the phone came Lin Xiaqing's urgent voice, "You quickly look at the news. Our city seems to have a big incident."